Hey, everybody, welcome back to Zero Distortion. Today, we're shifting gears into a topic that everyone thinks they understand, but most people get wrong: dating. My guest is Jennifer Miotke, a professional matchmaker with over 15 years of experience, president of One Matchmaking, and now the author of the brand new book, I Know Why You're Single, and Yes, It's Your Fault. Love that title. She's known for telling it like it is. No sugarcoating, no gimmicks, just straight truth about what's holding people back from finding love. And this conversation, it hits home for me because I'm actually a success story of matchmaking. I met my incredible wife through a matchmaker almost 10 years ago. But before we get started, if you can do me a favor and click that subscribe button, it really goes a long way. Now let's get into it. Jennifer, welcome to Zero Distortion. Great to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. I love that you're multi-passionate. We both met our spouses through a dating service. So cool.
Yeah, I've really been excited about this one. And let's kind of start off because I know we'll get into that, which I can't wait to talk about. But tell us a little bit more about yourself and your path into becoming a professional matchmaker.
Yeah, I get asked that almost every day. So I just, a regular middle class girl, moved to Atlanta, Georgia from the big city. I'm from Columbia, South Carolina, and when I moved to Atlanta, I didn't know anybody, and I joined It's Just Lunch. We both use that service, and I just had a great time dating. It was just really fun. I learned about wine and what a sommelier was. I was in my 20s, and it was just a really fun, eye-opening experience, much like traveling. And I said to the person who sold me the service, which people say to me now every day, it's so funny, I want to do what you do. This is so fun. And after lots of bumps and turns in my 20s, I made it happen. I ended up working for that service, and the journey began.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
what you said you fell in love with it. What do you love most about what you do?
Oh, I love that. Nobody asked me that. So smart, Russ. Okay. Well, the thing that I just like people, and I find their stories so interesting about, how they turned out to be the person that they are, who raised them, what lessons they've learned from that. I guess I'm just a naturally curious person, and I get to deal with some really interesting, sometimes wealthy, dynamic people. And I find their stories interesting, basically, and I get to
Yeah.
hear people's stories every day.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's one of those situations where it's really complex what's going to work with matching people up, and I want to know more about that. But you met your husband through a matchmaker, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. In the matchmaking world, there's this big distinguishment between dating service versus matchmaker. I don't really buy into that, what the owner does, but, but yeah, like I did, It's Just Lunch, which most people calls a dating service because they're matching only clients with clients, and it's not this high level of headhunting. But yeah, I met my husband through It's Just Lunch, and you met your wife, right?
yeah, yeah, and I want to understand the difference between like it's just lunch because I joined that. I was traveling a lot and
Yeah.
I was single and I moved to a new area for a project and I was ready to start dating again. And, this was 10 years ago. And it's just lunch. I saw the ads whenever I was flying, used to have those in the magazines and stuff, but, back in the day. And I said, why not? Because I didn't like the apps. I didn't have time for all the messaging and uploading pictures and all of that. I just, it was too much for me. I just didn't have the bandwidth for that. And so I met my wife. Now it took a little bit, and to your point with that service, they would match you up with others that kind of had joined into that service, right? And I guess yours is a little bit different, but I'd love to hear
Yeah.
about that. But I'm a big people ask me about it when they're struggling dating. I'm like, find the matchmaker.
Yeah.
They're gonna work for you. It's gonna save you so much time and headache.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I also just like the people that hire matchmakers because I feel like they have a sense of adventure. they have a sense of outsourcing things to make their lives easier. And I just get all that. You know what I mean? I understand it. You and I are the same way. We have that in common. We thought it would be easier. And I mean, I thought it would be fun too. Like, I was like, that's going to be fun. They're going to, I mean,
to be in a serve, have someone
yeah.
set you up on the dates.
Or is that just my perspective? I mean, maybe it's a personality trait.
I For me, I just didn't want to do the work because I was working like 12-hour days and driving, an hour each way. So I had like 14-hour days plus trying to get into the gym, and I just didn't want that work and that headache. So
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, let me try this. I've never tried this before. And something else I was thinking was, because it was a fee, right? It cost them, which I was happy to pay. And it turned into, for me, if someone else is going to pay, then they're probably going to be serious about maybe wanting to find somebody, because that's where I was in my life. I wanted to find my person, and I'm so lucky that everything kind of fell into place to make that happen. But yeah, I'm interested to learn more about your experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was the same way. I think it wasn't as much about that our needs were different in that, like, I was dating guys all the time and having a great time and, making out with dudes at bars and dating guys for 2 and 3 months, but they didn't want to get married, or maybe they didn't want to get married to me because I was ridiculous. And I wanted to meet a guy who wanted to get married, and I felt like they were probably joining matchmakers. That was really it.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, let's talk a little bit about like matchmaking and modern dating. I mean, there's all the apps. Yeah, I don't know about them. I remember Match.com was what I was looking at back in the day, and I think Tinder just popped up, and I didn't understand that.
Hey, we're the same age, right? We say that?
I'm saying you're a lot younger than me. I'm just I'll be 51 here in a few months.
Well, not a lot younger. It's just Botox. And no, I'm gonna be 50 this year. Yeah. So Tinder hadn't come along. I guess the apps on your phone hadn't come along, and it was Match.com back in the day.
Yeah.
Under that.
Well, and I remember somebody said, "Yeah, try Tinder," and I'm like, I messed up because I didn't know. I saw someone, I remember this, and this is what turned me off. I saw someone, one of the first ones that popped up, and I'm like, oh, she's cute. And I swiped the wrong way, and it was gone. And I'm like, oh, well, all right. What if I was the one? Well, it wasn't. And I swiped that way for a reason, I guess. But yeah, I just didn't want to get into that. But I'm old. So today, people are doing that a lot, but I don't know if they're serious about meeting someone. I'm sure there are people on there that are, but I don't know. What's your experience with people who have gone that route and then decided, I'm going to try a matchmaker, and what have they said, especially like younger folks, I guess, that maybe come to you?
Well, first of all, like, there's a trend for people maybe 30 and under. They don't want to do the apps anymore. It's like a band that's not cool anymore. They're into meeting people live and figuring out a way to do that. So they're not even trying them usually. And then for everybody else, look, you know what they say about opinions. I don't think my opinion is God. I just have a lot of experience. I feel like you have to get to the point where you want to be in a relationship and you're going to figure it out at all cost, right? So the biggest frustration people have with me is they're like, well, what if I meet somebody on my own on the apps? How can you do better? I don't have this magic formula. You've just probably been on the apps for a while and it's not working out. And would you like help? So I don't see the apps as good or bad. I just see that, how bad do you want the goal? Like, I'm no different than a stylist or personal trainer. I really specialize in helping you find the goal. And I feel like a lot of people are really frustrated and they really get caught up in, like, what if I spend this money? And it doesn't work. And I'm like, well, I mean, you have to be willing to risk that. You have to want the goal bad enough, just like if you wanted the goal to be fit, to hire a personal trainer. And I guess if you don't want it that bad enough, then just stay on the apps. It's cool. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get you to your goal. It's no different than like a stylist trying to get you to be fashionable or whatever. So I don't remember what your question was, but I don't think the apps are good or bad. Like if you can find somebody through the apps, good on you. If you want help, there's people out there to help you that have a lot of experience, you know?
Yeah. I look at it as someone you can find someone on an app. There's evidence of that all over the place. I'm sure.
Work for yourself.
Um, yeah, it was a matchmaker worked out great for me, and I'm going to speak for my wife here. She's going to say it worked out great for her, because we just didn't have the time. We were, very busy professionals, and a different stage in life. Yeah, that probably would have been the way to go. But I guess where she and I would say a lot of people are, as they get maybe a little bit older and ready to, the party days are over, they're ready to maybe find that person.
Totally.
Matchmaker
Yep.
might be the right way to go.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, but I think it's just like anything else in efficiency. And I think if you really want something, you go after it and you look at it in a bunch of different ways. It doesn't have to be like this way or that way. Like if you wanted a job, you would hire a recruiter, you would look online, you would talk to your friends. And it's the same thing about meeting who is the most important person in your life. Like you probably want to make sure that you went about the different ways to do it. And anybody who's done it online long enough knows that it's super frustrating because there's AI bots. People won't show up how they say they are. I mean, having somebody screen people for you is just going to save you time. Like a real
Yeah.
estate agent would, a trainer would, a stylist would. Would you like for me to help you and save you time with serious people that are accomplished? Because that's what we do, you know?
Well, yeah, it's your profession, right? You can, I'm going to say, read people pretty well and
Yeah.
be able to understand. All right, this would be probably a good fit, or potentially a good fit for this person, and
Yeah.
kind of going in it that way. And did I understand correctly, Jennifer? You don't just have a network that you work in. You kind of go out and try to find different folks
Yeah.
outside of your network.
Yeah. I mean, like, one of the most frustrating things for me about matchmaking is everybody's sort of like, why don't you just match people with people? See, that worked for you and it worked for us. That's more complicated than you think in today's world because 95% of the people that I work with have been online dating. So when they come to me, they want a certain height, a certain body type, a certain religion, right? They may or may not want kids. I mean, I don't have this niche person that you've been looking for online forever necessarily in the pool. That's the reason we don't do that. So sometimes, in order to make you happy, I go outside the pool with who I know. I'm just trying to get the project complete with what you told me you wanted, right? So ideally, you match a client with a client. That's the best. And usually, if they're flexible, normal people, that's who they should be meeting. It's when and so when you ask, why don't you match clients with clients? Well, it's probably because you're really rigid in your standards of what you're looking
Yeah.
for. Then I have to
Yeah.
go outside the pool. So you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't meet this person who's as committed as you are, but have them be 6 feet tall, make $250,000 and not be religious. I mean, we gotta, I mean, I don't always have that person in the pool. So that's the difference. I mean, I guess between what people would say is a dating service and a matchmaker is we can go beyond it and look outside of it because ultimately, yeah, people are hiring me to screen their dates, save them time, set them up with the kind of people that they want. And it doesn't really matter how you finish the project as long as the project gets complete. So that's the way I look at it. Ideally, you want to match a
Yeah.
client with a client. Yeah, it's less work for them and you get two committed people. But sometimes with their preferences, they rule themselves out of that. And we find them.
Yeah. Whenever I joined and had a matchmaker working for me, it was. They wanted to know what kind of person I wanted to be matched up to. So I told them, here's what I really like. It was, body type. It was, they've asked hair color, height,
Yeah.
profession. So you go through all of that. And they set me up on several dates. I don't know if they had a quota or what, but they set me up on several dates. And finally, I just told them, I said, it was people in the network, right? Finally,
Yeah.
I just told them, hey, I don't want to waste anybody's time. And I was feeling bad because there was just no connections there with who they were setting me up with. Nice girls, it just didn't work. And I just let them know, call me whenever you find somebody. Don't worry about a quota. You're going to get paid. I just don't want to waste their time or my own. They're
Yeah.
busy and this and that. So it was several weeks. I don't know, maybe it was a month, but they ended up reaching out to what was turned out to be my wife, who had been in the network and left. Same thing. She didn't match up with anybody, just didn't work out, and she just ended up leaving. They called her and said, "Hey, we got perfect guy for you," and she's like, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, whatever." So yeah, I think there's a real value to even if you're walking in the coffee shop and you're like, hey, I may have someone. Are you married? Are you single? Because I may have somebody for you. Is that kind of the way it goes?
Yeah, a little bit. But let me just get back to our stories in terms of how we handle matchmaking. Because again, I talk to people every day, and and when I use the same company, it's just lunch. They set me up with a guy in a wheelchair. They didn't tell me he was in a wheelchair, and I was like, "What is going on?" It seems like you should mention that.
Yeah.
And most people would have quit like you that I talked to, and like me, they would have said, "This service sucks." They didn't disclose this. They like you, they would have said they're not setting me up with who I want. And instead of just having the conversation, they just bail out. And that happens all the time when people hire me. They haven't met them and they just quit. Or they call me and they complain about another service. And I'm like, so you went on one bad date and you just gave up? And I'm just saying, like, you and I, like, we were just resilient. We were like, like, you handled it super nicely. I didn't, because you're a nicer person than me, probably. You just said, hey, call me at this person. And I was like, don't you ever do that again. I'll take one for the team. Okay. But we have to have a discussion. And like, I mean, yeah. And so then we had a conversation, and you and I both, after that painful conversation, we met our wives or husbands. So anyway, my point is, don't quit. If you're listening to this podcast and you hired a service and you think they suck, quite frankly, you need to call them and rip them a new one, or be really nice like Russ and tell them just to call you when they have that person. And maybe your next match is your husband or wife. Like, don't give up. You already bought it. It's like going on vacation and deciding the hotel sucks. You're just not going to go out I mean, like, just finish it. You've already bought it, I don't
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have some patience and understand it. The first date they set you up on, if that's the one, okay, great. I would say that
know.
never happens. And
Well, life's just not that easy. It's just not.
no, it's a little bit of work, but it's worth it. Whenever, because I didn't with It's Just Lunch, they didn't show us pictures, right? They had pictures that they would take of you when you went in so they could describe you to who they were setting you up with, but you didn't know. They would describe the person, right?
Yep.
And then they would set you up as a blind date, right? You
Yep.
knew who their first name, you knew a little bit about them, but you
We
show up and
Yeah.
and do that. And I remember whenever I met my wife, very first date, and I was kind of like, whatever. I didn't have a lot of expectations.
Yeah.
And I walked in and I saw her and I was like, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. She looked amazing, she's beautiful, gorgeous, all this stuff, everything I was hoping for. And she told me later, she said, yeah, whenever I saw you walking up, she said, this guy looks like a douchebag, right? She So it was because I was a little bit bigger. I had the dress code, the blazer. I was trying to look nice, and big guy. And she said, I'm just kind of, thought I was just a musclehead who didn't, have any personality or anything. So
Yeah.
if I would have asked her out like traditional, like in a bar or, see her out someplace, she probably never would have went out with me. And because I look
Yeah.
like a douchebag, I didn't look like her
Yeah.
type.
Yeah, but she might have opened up. But yeah, I hear you. I mean, like the same thing, and that's the beautiful thing about matchmaking. And we have a service level that I recommend, quite frankly, and it's blind dates too, because I I would have not picked out my husband. He didn't go to college. He's a big bald guy like you, actually. and
I'm
and,
shaved. There's a
yeah.
difference.
Oh, all right. He shaves too.
No.
Anyway, yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't have picked him out. I mean, I was always nice to people if they approached me out, but um, but yeah, I mean, he's not who I would have picked. And I think that's the problem. And that's the interesting thing and the great adventure about matchmaking is who would somebody else pick for you? Because you've been picking for you a long time and maybe you're just getting it wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
you're focused on the wrong things. Maybe you're judging a book by its cover. So that's one of the great things about matchmaking. And like we have different service levels where you can see pictures and stuff like that. But I don't know. It's almost like I think they're missing the adventure, like almost planning a trip down to the last detail and not allowing for the sense of adventure. Because yeah, your wife wouldn't have picked you out on the apps. I wouldn't have picked my husband out. I would have ruled him out based on the college degree. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
And
Sure.
maybe you don't know what's best for you. Maybe there's a different plan. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. We tell that story all the time when people say, "Well, how did you meet?" Oh, well, sit down and let me tell you, because I love telling that story because again, if we hadn't been set up, if we hadn't had that matchmaker to connect us,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'd be. She's thankful, that we were able to meet, and we've got just the best relationship. I didn't think it could ever be this good, so I'm very, very grateful. But it I think you make a really good point that if maybe let a professional do it,
Yeah.
and
Or just
you've been picking
I
people your whole life and it hasn't worked out. Maybe
yeah.
let someone else do that and
Totally.
think outside the box. Well, talking about a blind date, what about have you seen this? I think it's on Netflix, the dating, it's kind of a dating show where everybody lives in a place, but they have these dates, but they don't see the people, and then they meet up.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're talking about,
Love is Blind, I think my
yeah,
wife like,
yeah, right, we love that.
yeah,
Yeah,
because there's everybody is, well, I won't say everybody, but a lot of people are looking for that connection and struggling so hard to find it. And again, that's what I love about, matchmaking, which a decade ago I wouldn't know anything about.
yeah, but I will say Love is Blind doesn't take away people. I mean, if you watch a season after season, they're all active. That's why it may work out, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Love is, maybe it's got some glasses on, but there's still attractive people on there for sure.
It would
So
be a better show if they threw in a few heinous looking people just to see if that's so that's
make it real life, uh,
yeah.
type of thing. Yeah. No, that's something to think about. And you said judging a book by its cover. So I want to ask about the book that you have.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I love the title, and I want to understand it. It's called what is it? I Know Why You're Single, and Yes, It's Your Fault.
Yes. Right. And I'm gonna write one for men because this is next, but this is yeah, just sort of geared towards people that have been using apps because I feel like a lot of people, come to me and they're super frustrated, right, about dating, and they're like, all men are dogs, this, and that, and then then you ask them what they're looking for, and they like ramble on for 10 minutes, and you're like, well, I mean, maybe it's you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. They're really not that open minded to people. They're really rigid. So I wrote a book about that. I mean, where I live in Atlanta. Where are you again?
Located in the greater Cleveland area, so in
Oh,
Ohio.
very different in the Midwest. But where I live in the Atlanta, Georgia, the high net worth area of Buckhead, I mean, it can be a very materialistic place. And like women will talk about how like men won't settle down and there's no good men, but they only want to date guys that are tall and make over $250,000. And I'm like, well, I mean, you know, you're being incredibly picky. There are some good guys out there that you would never date that are just a regular Joe and he treat you amazing. So the problem is you and not the single market. Quit dogging on all men. You know what I mean? And sometimes the same thing with men. It's like they say that women are, you know, flaky and not traditional women, but like when you dig deep into it, well, it's because they only date smoking hot women that are completely out of their league, right? So they being blown off, and it's like, yeah, well, date a girl who is like in your league looks wise, or like one or two steps above, not four, and you can probably find it. But they really, you know, in some ways, they need a matchmaker to just talk through what's going on, like a friend, like almost consulting. You know what I mean? Because here they are saying, you can take advantage of me. And I'm like, well, I mean, I think it's because you offer to buy them a purse on the second date. I mean, right? Like, let's stop doing that, you know?
Yeah. I would say a lot of guys need a lot of that kind of advice. That's good.
Written, you know, really just out of days of frustration and talking to people and, you know, them taking out such frustration about being single and listening to this and just knowing if they tweak certain small things, they would find it, right? But meanwhile, they're so frustrated with dating and they're blaming it on the dating market and it's them. And if they would just take a look internally and tweak a couple things, then they'll find it. And that's really what the whole book is about. It's like $10 or less on Amazon. I promise you, if you read it and you just take away two different things, you will find somebody and you'll save yourself thousands of dollars by hiring a matchmaker who's going to get you to that same place. They're going to get you flexible, right? Because you're going to keep getting your butt kicked by what you do over and over again, and then they're going to flex you. So you can do this on your own and open up online, or you can hire somebody like me and we will get you there. Sometimes it's painful because you have to keep dating the kind that is your type, and we have to say they're not attracted to you. They think you're old. Not attracted to you. They think you're old. And so you get the message that this guy that you've been looking for or girl is not looking for you.
Right.
I mean, they have to go through that. And sometimes they hit the lotto, but most of the time, no. Most of the time, they just are like, I want to date this kind of person. And if I can just date this kind of person, they will want to date me. Well, that's not true. That's why they didn't respond to you online. But, you know, if you need to see that mission live, we'll do that for you. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm certainly, I'm a lucky one. I'm dating way above or married way above my league. So whenever
well, all guys
got together,
so is my husband.
Well, let me ask you this. When you look at, like, say your most successful matches that you've made, or that your company has made, what did those clients have in common that made it work?
They were open. They went out with everybody I told them to. That's it.
That was it.
If you do what the matchmaker says, you're going to find it. I mean, like anything else, if you go to a stylist and you tell her what you want to wear, why did you even hire her? Like, really? Why did you hire her? You go to a personal trainer and you tell them the kind of exercise you want to do. Why did you hire the personal trainer? It's so stupid. Yeah. So I know what I'm doing. I've been doing it nearly 20 years. I met my husband this way. I've got 3 or 4 different services. So, you know, you can box me in, which a lot of our clients do because they're wealthy, type A people that are really driven, and they go, no, I'm different. I know better than everybody else. I'm more emotionally intelligent than everybody else. And I'm like, all right, Bobby, let's drive the train. And then, you know, they usually don't get there. But they wouldn't say they don't like the service. They actually do like the service because I'm serving up over and over again what they want. They're just comfortable with getting rejected until they meet that person. You know what I mean? Like they have a higher hit rate of rejection. We have a mutually beneficial relationship. They're willing to pay me over and over again to get rejected until they meet the person they like. So that can work too, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's something to consider. And I guess what what like red flags do you wish that people would stop ignoring as they're being matched up in dating? Is there, hey, this is something I see with a lot of people, and once they remove this, they get, maybe closer to those results they're looking for. Is it that openness and willing to go out
Yeah.
with everyone? That's the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would say women are really caught up on height and income bracket and an alpha male. You know, they've got this whole, I don't know. And I think men are by and large caught up on looks. And they also really want to avoid this alpha female, which is, I mean, listen, I think that you don't want to marry a woman. I mean, I'm saying this as an alpha female, so maybe it's, I mean, look, if you don't want to marry a woman that you're bored by, maybe you do like alpha females. We're definitely not boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So getting these little things like, I like a traditional woman who's not whatever, like, just stop it. You want a woman that you're attracted to, that you thinks that you enjoy your company. Like, you don't have to like widget out hating this certain segment of the population. It's just not true. People are like more intricate than that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I would just say people that get like, really into their types, you could say, I really like this, I like this kind of woman to kind of point us in the right direction. But, yeah, you don't have to like 100% decide you don't like something. Just try to remain open.
Yeah. Yeah. Even whenever I was going out with these girls, they set me up with I would see it. Like, I remember one I saw, I'm like, okay, that's not my type at all as far as physical. Again, nice girl, just
Yeah.
wasn't the type that I was attracted to initially just seeing. But I still gave it, I had the dates out there, went through, and if it would have been okay, or worth it another day, that would have been something I would have been open to. But I,
Oh,
I think what you're saying is key, is having, I say this in a lot of podcasts, having an open mind of what
yeah.
people are like, because again, I got very lucky with my wife, and we're best friends and just love spending time together. I don't know that if I hadn't been open to these other options, that I ever would have run into her. I ever would have had that opportunity to meet her and be where we're at today. So yeah, there's something to be said for having that open mind, it seems.
Yeah, totally. Hmm.
But where can people find you at, Jen?
Okay, so me personally, I'm trying to do a little bit more of this because I can do date coaching and I can do it all over. And
Oh,
it's $150. You can send me a Zoom link. I know matchmakers all over the country. I know different ways to go about dating, and I can help you date online just by telling you what sites you can use, picking out your pictures, and giving you general dating tips. I think that's like something I just want to do for fun, and it's really valuable because if you've been married forever, or you've never really had a girlfriend and been beating it up on the apps and maybe can't afford a matchmaker, and this is just like a mini consultation. But if you're in Atlanta, yeah, you should use our services. We're the best in Atlanta for sure. Um, and so if you wanted to reach me directly and ask me any questions about dating, simple question, I'll just probably answer you. If you want more of a thorough consultation, you can email me, find me through all the social media outlets. I work for a company called 8 at 8 Dinner Club in Atlanta. 4 girls, 4 guys going to dinner. It's legendary. It's been around 25 years. It has a great reviews. We also do singles events. And then our matchmaking company is called One Matchmaking, which is just custom matchmaking. And, if you put it in any phone when you're in Atlanta or Google it, you'll find us. So we're on all the social media outlets as well, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. So we're pretty easy to find.
yeah.
Thank you
Is it
for
one on one? It's spelled out one on one, not the
yeah,
not the digits, right?
yeah, one ONE matchmaking. Or you could probably just Google my name and you'd be able to find the company pretty easily. Because
Yeah,
I've been
you're Yeah, you're pretty easy to find. And
Yeah.
I love the idea too of you providing some coaching. I mean,
Yeah.
again, a decade ago, I would have gone for that. I'm like, God, I need
Yeah.
all the help I can get, right?
Yeah. And sometimes it's also laying the groundwork. Like sometimes people are hiring matchmakers and they have no idea what the market has to offer, or they're saying they want all these things. And I'm like, you're not going to get all those things. Right. It's like saying, I just graduated from college and I want to make $150,000. Well, you're not going to make that. So let me tell you
Yeah.
what you will make. Let me tell you some great companies to start. And so it's just really more about like understanding what's out there, what kind of person is looking for them, and then different ways to go about it. So yeah, I think it's fun. I mean, essentially I try to help everybody I talk to, but sometimes if I'm honest with you, I stay on the phone with them for 30, 45 minutes and they follow up later and I'm like, oh, maybe I should be getting paid for this.
Yeah.
Right? For not joining my service and I'm really helping you. And, we get people from different cities and stuff like that, just calling and referred. We can't help them. So it's a natural part of the job. But I enjoy doing it because I just look at it like a problem they have to solve. And also, it's really important that they understand what is out there before they start making these demands. I mean, I talk to so many people that tell me what they're looking for. And I'm like, you're going to be single forever unless you loosen up in this area. Would you like to be single forever or would you like to loosen up in this area? You know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, just
And
easy.
it's, yeah, it's their choice. And again, that's a value you're providing, being able
Yeah.
to give that information, that advice. No, this has been great, Jennifer. Thanks so much for being here. And I would say if somebody in our audience is ready for some tough love or an expert help in finding that right person, check out One Matchmaking. Check out Jennifer and see if she can give you some counseling, some coaching,
And
some
the book,
consulting.
that's
Order
$10.
the book. Yeah, $10. That's probably the best place to start, right?
Yes. If you want some more coaching, yeah, just reach out. But yeah, I love helping. It's this is how I met my husband. I'm passionate about what I do. It's super fun. And I appreciate you having me on, and telling our stories. How we
Well,
found
yeah,
our
this is one I love talking about because I love talking about my wife and how lucky I am and how we met was just things had to fall in place. But a big piece of that was a matchmaker like you. So
Oh, I love that.
I'm very grateful. Again, thanks so much for joining us. And to our audience, hey, if you like this episode, you think somebody could gain some value from it, hit that subscribe button, share. We really appreciate all that support. We'll catch you next time on Zero Distortion. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.